Well, hello everybody and welcome to this video about APIs in Minecraft plugins. This is going to be a very exciting video, although it is going to be a little bit lengthy because APIs have different ways how you can import them, and I'm going to show you how to use different plugins to add particle effects. As you can see, we're adding some particle effects inside our laser pointer, which we have made in the video about custom crafting recipes. If you haven't watched that one, I highly suggest you do. I'm also going to show you how to read any website on the internet, such as my own website, obviously, and also how to read any sub-website on the internet, which is going to be really nice. Also, I'm going to teach you how to spawn custom monsters using another plugin for custom monsters. So this one is called Giant Boss, for example. And last but not least, why not? We're going to be calling the Vault plugin to donate us money. So I can literally give any player, including offline players who've never played on the server before. As you can see, I have only one player joined, but I can donate to another player because he's offline right now. So how to donate money to him. Anyways, guys, welcome to Minecraft plugin review tutorial. This is Maciej, and I've been doing it for the last 10 years, and for the last 9 years, I've been preparing this drawing because, you know, it's really advanced and it's very confusing. So anyways, guys, I want to teach you all the different ways how to connect different libraries and even different plugins to your own plugin, because people always get so confused, and there's a bunch of crappy YouTube tutorial videos that are teaching you one way, where in reality there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ways, if you can read it. And I'm gonna read this for you guys if you struggle, you know, reading my type, of course. So before we start doing anything, I just wanted to mention you need to learn Java first if you wanna have a solid Minecraft plugin. So if you don't understand public, final, class, if you don't understand any of this, okay, please do yourself the favor, check the class project Orion. The link is in the description of this video. It says learn Java and Minecraft plugins, because guess what? Not only it's going to show you how to code in Java, but specifically how to make beautiful Minecraft plugins, explode your server, even get an IT job, and the best of all, I'm on there twice per week to provide personalized help. Now, having said that, how do you actually connect your plugin that we're building throughout this series with another library? Now, there's a bunch of ways, and the most important thing I can tell you is this. You have a server, right? This is Paper or Spigot or Bukkit. The server needs to have, the source code for the API, which stands for Application Programming Intervention. Of course not, it stands for Application Programming Interface, which means just a sort of API interfaces on top of the plugin, which you can use as a developer to connect to. So the server has to have a copy of that source code, and we have to load it to the server using a couple of methods. The first one is called jar plugin, the other one is called libraries method, and the third one is there is no method. It's simply going to be a part of your own plugin when you place it on the server. So I'm going to teach you that. Also, your IDE, which stands for Idiotic Development Environment. Obviously, again, I'm just joking with you guys. It stands for Integrated Development Environment. Although if you use Notepad, you might be as well an idiot. And then I'm going to teach you how to use your IDE so that you will have access to this integration. For example, this one is called Vault. So you have access to the source code. Not only the server has access, but you as the developer, when you're coding your plugin, you have access to it. And there's a bunch of ways. First one is called system path. The other one is called provided. And the third one is called compile and also repackage way. We're going to be using Maven. If you've been following this tutorial series, you already have Maven. This is just a tool that helps you compress all the source codes into a single jar file using something called pom.xml. So again, just to make sure that you have it, it is this one right here, pom.xml file. So if you've been following this tutorial, you should have a lot of classes right now, and don't worry about the structure. I might just, you know, repackage these into different packages in the next video. This one is going to get longer anyway, so I don't want to waste more time here. But you should have the POM file, which simply controls the technology behind compressing all the source files. So let me begin very easily. Okay, let me begin very easily by connecting a plugin called Boss for custom monsters. So way number one. Okay, now this is, I think it's the most common. If you have any plugin, right? This is Essentials plugin, and if you download the plugin, it's gonna look like I don't know how to get to my desktop. Okay, so it's going to look like this one, right? It's just a bunch of strings. It's just essential.jar, not a bunch of strings. It's just essentials.x.jar. So if you have a plugin and it can be a premium plugin, or it simply doesn't have a source code online, how do you actually connect to it? If I go to my test server for YouTube, how do you connect to all these plugins if you don't have access to anything else, just the jar file? It's a great question. Let me show you how to do that. So in your IntelliJ, you're going to want to go to the POM file. And then if you've been following our tutorial, the structure should look something like this one. If it doesn't, don't worry, you can still find it. And inside the dependency section, you should have the main server imported. And then below is actually right here. So below here, it doesn't matter where you put it as long as you put it below. Don't put it above, because in case this jar has custom libraries, etc., it can actually conflict with the server so that it's going to show up weirdly. If you try to code in IntelliJ, IntelliJ will try to load everything from the jar file, including things that can conflict with the paper itself. I don't mean an actual conflict when you compile the plugin and you run it on a server, just the integrated development environment program conflict is just going to be here, but it's not going to go over to the server. Anyways, if you don't want to have it, just place it below. So the way you're going to do it is you're going to be starting off by typing just dependency, right? And then, as you notice, there's a lot of similarities to how we imported paper. So you have the group ID, you have the artifact ID, you have the version. So these three are the same. However, when it comes to system dependencies, as they are called, so just putting the jar file there, it doesn't matter. You can literally have anything you want to, as long as this is unique. And as I'm talking, I think my IntelliJ is just crashed. All right, guys, we're back online. I don't know what happened. Maybe it's the revenge for me calling it idiotic development environment, probably. So when it comes to dependency, I said these three do not matter as long as these are unique. Now the scope is going to be different. You're supposed to type in system. So what this will do, it'll simply require you to put another property called system path. And here you have to put in the very exact path to the jar file. So if I have my test server, whoops, okay, this is getting a bit confusing. If I have my test server, say you want to import essentials, then what you're going to do, you're just going to go to the URL bar, put in the name of the plugin there, and then go back into IntelliJ, and then just import it like this. Not like that, like this. No, not like that, like this. Third attempt. Awesome. So now you should have access to essentials. And if I go into any other class, such as chat listener, I think we now have access to essentials hook. No. Essentials. No. Okay, what's going on here? Let me just check this out. Okay, this should be cannot resolve file. All right, that's strange. So maybe this happens because of these weird letters afterwards. Might just be a problem. So let me just delete those. And now it's not gonna work because my server has already started. Okay, try again. There we go. Save it. And then if you have any problems like I have, click load Maven changes. If you can't see this icon, then I think you just have to right click this, go to Maven, and then go to reload project. Now, if I go back here, I should have access to essentials. There we go. And how do I know that? Well, because I already don't know the package, right? If you just Google how to use essentials, yeah, you'll end up with a bunch of stuff. And now you can get access to basically essentials things. This is only going to work if the essentials are loaded on the server. The way you can make sure that the plugin does not crash when there is no essentials, you can simply put this behind a condition: if Bukkit get plugin manager get plugin essentials is not null, right? And if you do that, then this code is not gonna execute when essentials are not loaded, meaning your plugin will still work without it. Or you can simply put it to a different class, as I did in the, I think in the vault hook, and you can make this a static class, making a private constructor to prevent people from calling a new vault hook, right? And in here, you can simply call a static initializer block. Again, you have to know Java to understand what this will do. This will basically call whatever is inside the first time you call any static method, but only once. And then here we simply check if the vault has been loaded. If it is, we're going to set up a bunch of stuff. And then I can even check if we have set up economy properly by calling has economy. So this way I avoid plugin issues when the given plugin is not loaded. But I'm already talking over myself too quickly because we haven't reached that point yet. So this is how to import any jar. It's not recommended. That's why we have to try using different ways. It's not recommended because there's a bunch of disadvantages, and this is not a very sophisticated way. Plus, you have to keep a copy of that plugin, which if it's a private plugin, you can't really publish this to GitHub because you'll be in violation of, rights of that author. So that's why I really don't recommend using that. But if the plugin does not provide any source or any Maven repository, then you have to resort to that. And it works just fine. In fact, if you want to use the Boss Premium plugin, this is recommended for it. And I use the Boss plugin right here. And I've also created a giant command. Now, guys, in this video, I'm not going to code, right? Because I already made a lot of stuff in here, except that IntelliJ is now needing to hit this magical icon. There we go. Load Maven changes. Okay, great. So we already have the giant command right here. And I'm not going to code because we have other tutorial videos in this series to code. We have a video on how to make commands and etc. I just wanted to show you how to do the dependency and API management, right? Also, you don't have to know how BAS works. This is how it works. If you want to post a video and import it, you are feel free to do so. However, you have to purchase that plugin. Of course, if you don't want to purchase it, just download it. Illegal. I'm just kidding, guys. Just get any other plugin that is open source or free, and then just hook into that. And it should be documented somewhere on how to spawn your own bosses or custom monsters. I think we're going to have a video on how to spawn custom monsters very soon if we didn't have it already. Anyways, guys, that's the first way. So now you know how to spawn it using a jar plugin and a system path. Now, what happens if you have a jar plugin such as Vault, right? So this one. And Vault provides us a repository, which is really nice. Let me just go into here and let me go into Vault right here. And then basically, if you don't know what Vault is, it's a bridge between your plugin and any chat, permissions, or economy plugin, providing API, the bridge, the developer's bridge, so that you can just connect to Vault, and basically it supports all of these plugins, and you don't have to import. Imagine how many jars you'd have to import for every one of these plugins, right? Or how many dependencies you have to manage. Instead, you just import Vault, and you can connect into all of them. If you go to Vault's GitHub, you'll notice, where is that? You'll notice, okay, for developer, I didn't notice. There's a Vault API page, and here it says how to include the API with Maven. This is also because we're using Maven. So you're just gonna grab the repository right here, go into your IntelliJ, go into your POM, and then inside the POM, what you're gonna do is you're gonna find the repository section and place the repo inside here. Next, you want to copy the dependency and also make sure to change the version to whatever is in the POM file. Typically, if it's a Maven plugin, it uses POM file, not a Maven plugin. If the Spigot Bukkit paper plugin uses Maven, then it has the POM file, so you can open it and then just read the version from here, or you can go into and read the version from here. So maybe this one is going to work, or maybe just 1.7 is going to work. Anyways, you can copy this, and then you can go and paste it. I don't know where we pasted it. Yeah, we pasted it right here. And again, magic icon is going to appear. Click it in IntelliJ. If it does not appear, right click, go to Maven and go to Reload Project to make sure that you have access to it. Again, this video does not cover how to code using these plugins. I just want to show you how to import all of them. But of course, you're going to have access to everything that you've seen on the screen, including all the demo features, if you go to my blog post and you pay me $3,000 for a course. Just kidding, guys. It's completely for free as a part of the YouTube tutorial series. So if you click and you go to the blog post about this, you're going to have access to the source code anyways. And I only ask you to subscribe to this channel. So please do so. And then it says implementing Vault, right? So I based my code on this very example. As you'll see, it is very similar. Setup, chat, economy, permissions. You can just copy this, and then you'll be good to go. I have it in the class Vault hook. I just like to keep different integrations and separate classes, and I simply add a prefix called hook. So that's how you import Vault. Again, not gonna walk you guys through it because there is documentation on how to do it. What I simply used this as an example is the donate command, which works like this. It'll simply start a new Bukkit renable, and this, I can explain this a little bit because it trips people up. So Whenever you have a call that is blocking, the get offline player is a blocking call. This method may involve a blocking web request. So your plugin has to initiate a call to Bukkit, and Bukkit has to initiate a call to a web server, which can take maybe 0.1, sometimes even 1 or 2 seconds, which can obviously lock the entire server because it's running on the main thread. So the way you work this around is by wrapping this inside Bukkit runable. So if I remove everything else just to make sure it's readable, this is how it works. And then you can run this task async on our own main plugin instance. And the reason I'm doing it is that I simply want to support giving money to players that are also offline. If you call this, it's going to work on both online and offline players, which is really cool. Now, the problem with running this code on a different thread asynchronously is that anything else that you run after it may cause issues because it requires you to call it on the main thread. So the way we're going to, quote, fix it is we're actually going to create another Bukkit runable. Let me just copy this out. So another Bukkit runable, and then obviously I can just do check if the target player has played before. If not, we can just we can just ignore this code and just send the sender an error message. However, then we're going to run the task, not async but sync on the main thread. So you're going to get out of the main thread, look the player, and then go back into the main thread. And here is the actual magic. So here what we do, we simply get the amount. We make sure that the amount is a valid number. If it's not, we're simply going to return it. Then we're going to check if the Vault plugin has been installed. And finally, we're just going to call deposit method, which goes into the economy of Vault and calls deposit player, which will put the money on whatever bank account of whatever supported economy plugin the player has. That's it. Not as easy, I know, like probably I'm going too fast, but this video is not about the intricacies of like line by line. I just want to teach you guys the overall system on how to import and manage these dependencies, APIs, and libraries. If you want to learn how to code, we have the entire series on it, plus we have the project-oriented class, to which the link is in the description. That's going to teach you Java plus Minecraft plugins. Obviously, in the videos prior and after this one, I'm actually going to be coding line by line all of this. Not exactly this one, but this video has sort of like a different style because the code is already there. If you watch any other videos in this series, you'll know that I typically code with you guys. Just a heads up. Okay, so we have that. I can cross this out. Good. Now, another way to import a library or a plugin is using code libraries featuring plugin.yml. This only works typically for libraries. This is not plugin. A library is just a bunch of code which you can import and use, and it's not a Java or Spigot plugin itself. The plugin YAML, if you Google plugin.yml and you go to paper docs, libraries right here, okay, just ignore the warning. Obviously, we want to ignore all warnings. And then you can look how that works. And what this will do, it's going to download it from the Maven Central repository, whatever you specify here. So whatever libraries are available at that Maven Central repository, you can actually download. This is a bit advanced. This is basically one of the repositories which you can put here, but you don't have to put it there because IntelliJ by default already has the repo included. So that's why you don't have to put it here. But a repo basically means a storage of all these different weird files and weird libraries, whoever created. So Spigot by default supports one. It's called Maven Central, and you can Google this, the mvnrepository.com. Yeah, that one. I like that one more. So you can type in JSO up here, and this one is a really nice library that lets you parse or read real world HTML. HTML stands for the language used by this website, any other website. So it reads websites for you, and you can open it by clicking here, and then just get the latest version, and then we need to, remember, we need to let the server know to download the source code, but also let our IDEA know to have access to the source code. Because what happens if you just put it into the libraries? Well, it's going to load on the server, but you will not have access to it when you are coding the plugin. Because when you're coding the plugin, it has nothing to do with the server running. The server is not running there. And even if it is, it's isolated. You can't really cross-access these things. So first of all, we need to grab the dependency right here, and we need to go into our plugin. And then we already placed it. I already placed it right here. Now, the thing that you want to add is the scope. If you don't add a scope, it might actually get compiled inside your plugin, which is not desirable because then if two plugins have the same dependency, it can cause, import hell, or it can cause conflicts. I'm going to show you how to work around these conflicts in a moment. So to not put the source inside your plugin, just type scope, set it to provided, and that will do. Now, going into the plugin YAML, we need to open up this section. So type in libraries, and then this is a list. So it works like this. 2 spaces, dash, space, and then the org.jsoup is the, is the group ID, and then colon, artifact ID, colon, version. Okay, so that's the structure. So group, artifact, version. As you can see, the separator is colon. Be careful. If you make a mistake like I did last time, it's not going to load. So you have to be precise. If you do that, and you do that here, it's going to load it to the server, which you can actually see right here. If you go to the main servers folder, libraries, and if we open up org.jsoup, JSOUp is right here. So you can see the jar is loaded. This is not a jar. This is not a Minecraft plugin. It's just a jar containing the source for the library, right? So be careful with that distinction. If you would place this into the plugins folder, it would not load because this is not a plugin, it's just a library. That's why there's a different mechanism to loading this, and no YouTube tutorials, as far as I know, cover the distinction. So, thankfully you have me. So do that. And if you do that both inside your IntelliJ and plugin, you'll have access to it properly. Everything's gonna work fine. Now, to demonstrate this, I'll simply create a read command, which reads the following. It gets the URL from the command argument. So if I type read google.com, right, this is the first argument. And then it creates a new document from the org.jsoup. And then it tries to read the document. It connects to it, adding HTTPS automatically. So I don't have to type it here. It's just a lazy feature. I don't have to type it. It's going to be added automatically. Of course, if there's a problem, we'll simply return it. And then we're going to get the title, document title. And then we're going to select all H1s as elements, because this returns a list of elements, and we're just gonna return the text in the element. And this is great because what you can do in Chrome, you can right click the site, you can go to inspect, and you can just type in H1 and go and hit enter, which hopefully is gonna work well. It looks like this site does not have any. What about H2? Yep, there we go. H2 is here. So if this works properly in the game, you should go to H2 and you should see JSoup Java HTML parser, but I've already stopped the server, so I don't want to start it again and waste your time. So, this is how you can do this, and you can find these different tags. Obviously, there's just so much more to this library. This video is not about this library. It's just to show it as an example how to use it. So that's that. Now we can cross this. There we go. No, that's not a really good cross. There we go. And the final part, and the hardest part, I leave it as at the end. This is the particle that you've seen at the very beginning when it comes to laser pointer. Some libraries, such as this one, the effect library, have to be shaded. That means the source code of the library has to be copied over to your own plugin in order to work, right? So they do provide a repository. So, I installed it normally, but then I found that this one is a bit outdated. So what I did, I simply went onto Jetpack, which is a great site if you want to get any GitHub project as a dependency. So you can just copy this lbukkit-/effectlib, place it in here, and then go to commits or branches or commits, and then you can get the latest commit by clicking get. And this is going to give you the most recent version directly from this latest commit, which is 3 weeks old, because this one appears to be a year or 2 old, so it doesn't work on the latest Minecraft release. Anyways, so this is how I got that library working, right? And then what's going to happen if I have it in my plugin? If I have this in my plugin, I can set the scope to compile so that at the time of Maven running, if I launch the Maven, at the time of it running, it'll attempt to copy all of the files, including all the prefixes and all the classes and packages inside here. Okay, this the actual source code here on the left side of the screen is not going to get affected because this compilation only occurs in the actual jar file. So if I open up my workspace and if I open up the cow canoe, it'll actually be only placed right here. As you can see, the original plugin that we have is only 38 kilobytes long. However, the shaded version is a bit fatter. It's a fatty, right? Because of that compilation. So make sure to have that here. Now, the problem with this one is that if two people try to do this, they both going to end up having com.github.lbukkit inside the source code, which is going to, again, cause a conflict. So what we need to do, and this is, you're lucky because they provide us a way how to do this right here. So what you need to do is you need to relocate it. So we're going to be telling Maven, hey, when we are compiling, look for all org mineacademy cowcanoon and change the name of org mineacademy cowcanoon to org.banana.chickencanoon, right? Except that we're going to be doing this for the effect lib. Now, if I go to GitHub and I'll open up the main class, you can see the package right here inside Java. It's called d.slikey.effectlib. So what we can do, we can just copy this. And actually, I don't have to bother with this because they do provide this already. So all you have to do is just copy the relocations and filters. Relocation simply looks for a pattern. So in this case, it looks for this. And then the shaded pattern, we can actually just place whatever is inside here on the left inside our own, my own plugin namespace, my own plugin package. Right? And here's a filter. Yes, if you do want to exclude a bunch of files, you can. I don't think the filter worked for me when I tried to go inside, inside build, plugins, plugin, and then I found the appropriate plugin, which is the shading plugin, and then I found the appropriate section, which is the config section. I think it didn't work for me. So inside the config section, you're supposed to place all of that. And yeah, but it's going to work without the filter regardless. I can try right now if it works. Yeah, okay, great. Maybe I can just have it. Maybe because the artifact ID looks different. Anyways, let me not have it because it works without it as well. But of course, if the dev provides it, then you should go and use it unless it doesn't work. So what I simply did, I simply placed relocation right here. The pattern set to de/slikey, and then the shaded pattern I set to the group ID, which is a variable. IntelliJ is smart. It's going to automatically add this one. And then the artifact ID stands for cow canoon, and then I simply want to place it in a sub-package inside this at the time of compilation. However, the problem was I noticed that this library also includes something called org.apache.commons library, so I had to relocate that one as well. And if you open up the target folder, you can actually open this with a WinRAR, for example, and you go to org mineacademy cowcanoon. You can actually see the commons is right here and the effect lib is right here. Right? So you can see the packages, they are a little bit different now. And cowcanoon has the effect lib util instead of the di/slikey effect lib util. This is good for safety because it means that this library has a unique copy just for your own particular plugin. Right? And if I compile it, you'll see how that works. Obviously, I can just go back and use this back as a variable. This is just a handy in case in the future you want to change the group ID so you don't forget to change it multiple places. Now, if I run this, it supposedly should work properly. Let me actually open up a decompiler, which I have at my disk. There we go. Inside the decompiler, you can see migrate file, which I think comes from the library. So maybe I should have used the filter, who knows? But here we have these two. And if I open up any classes such as this one, you see the package has changed. This has changed only inside the jar for that particular compiled version, thanks to beautiful Maven. So this is it. And now when it comes to the actual effect, I think that I've added the effect under entity listener right here. No, under laser pointer listener. There we go. Yeah, so we had a video on custom crafting recipes here on this channel, which you can find. I think it's the couple of videos back. Then we had a video on custom particle effects and ray tracing and vectors. It's all in one video, which creates a similar code to this one, except that that one was for exploding. And I simply commented out this old code, and I simply go into a big bang effect, which is what you can do. And by the way, the effect manager has to be created, so I just created this as a field. And then don't worry about this one, I could just delete the other stuff. So this is the effect manager from the library. And then creating a new big bang effect, set the radius to 4 to make it a little bit bigger, set the location to the same as we used when making the explosion. So basically where I point with my laser, and then simply start the effect. Now, if you start it, it is never going to stop. So what I did, I'll simply created a new Bukkit enable that's going to run 2 seconds later, and it's going to cancel the effect like this one. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, shoot me a message below, but the best way to get personalized help is obviously join me live, join the community, join the live call that we have at Project Orion, because there I can actually spend 5 times as much. Not only that, we have so much more stuff to teach you. This is just the scratching the surface. So if you enjoyed this, if you want to go deeper, check the course out, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much and take care.